to another episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in actually rainy Los Angeles today. We got a little bit of weather actually going on here. Doing my best for the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee Elias, Lee, how are you doing, buddy?
It's very sunny here, Philadelphia. Snow-covered ground, but sunny. So it's in that kind of afterglow effect of a snowstorm where the roads are cleared and so everything looks clean, which is beautiful. Ray, are you ready for our non-sponsor of the week?
Yes, what is our non-sponsor of the week?
Our non-sponsor of the week is a positive one. It's actually my sponsor from the other show. I get to shout out to NHL Sense Arena because I'm holding here, for those of you listening, a MetaQuest 3. So Ray, I'm about to get back into gaming in a whole new way. I got a MetaQuest 3 here, and then Sense Arena also sent me the add-on. So I mean, you can't see these if you're listening, obviously, but these are so you can put them on a stick or goalie pads for the sensors, so that you can actually wear your equipment while you're doing it. So you'll have to take a look out for that stuff. But MetaQuest 3, should we make the unofficial sponsor Meta? No, it's going to be NHL Sense Arena, my friends over there. Thank you so much for that MetaQuest 3. I'm looking forward to using it and reporting back VR gaming on this channel, Geeks Who Like Sports. Now, they're a non-sponsor because they're not paying us. But maybe they will.
I am incredibly jealous.
That does not happen often in the gaming realm.
Yes.
That does not happen often, that Ray gets jealous about things that I have. Oh, it's in my face now, right? There it is. It's brand new.
There it is.
Just came out. This is brand new, the MetaQuest 3.
Yeah.
This year, right? No, late last year.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is the top of the line technology, my friend.
It's not the $2,500 Apple augmented reality thing.
No.
That I thought was ridiculously priced, but it is a MetaQuest 3. It's looking at me. It's a really cool box. I cannot wait to put it on. And you know what's cool about these guys, Ray, is they're going to like, I've used one of these before, but we're having a call Wednesday after we record this. And they're really going to kind of it's not walking me through how to use this, but how to use their game the right way. I'm really excited about it. So the tables have turned, my friend, for at least a couple days here. You are the gaming expert, and I'm a fan, and I'll be a fan Wednesday with this too. But I can't wait to tell you about it.
I was going to say, you have to give us a gaming review with it.
You know what I just realized? You and I could probably do stuff now on VR together, right? Because you have a PlayStation 1, right?
So I have a PlayStation VR 2. I'm not sure if that has cross play with the Meta Quest. You'll have to ask.
I might have to get another one of these. I might have to buy you one of these so that you and I can sit in a virtual room together instead of doing what we're doing right now, which is sitting in a virtual room together.
The virtual version of Geeks Who Like Sports.
You can all join us live in the room.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be like those VR seats at like arenas during sports games. You can join the conversation through MetaQuest 3.
We should do the show while playing a game. That would be interesting. It would just be a lot of hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, go. No, but they sent me this nice jersey. They sent me the MetaQuest 3 and the add-ons for sticks and gloves, and I'm excited about trying it out. So, and a hat. They sent me a hat too. I'm not wearing it right now, but it's very nice. I'm not used to being thrown flowers like this, so I'm feeling pretty special right now.
Oh, there you go. Well, as someone who like 90% of his wardrobe was provided by the gaming industry, it's a good thing. It's a good
30 years.
As I wear my Legend of Zelda shirt here,
it's finally starting to pay off. Paid off in other ways too. What shirt do you have on? Sorry,
I have a Legend of Zelda shirt on.
Well, you can never go wrong with that.
No, exactly. No. So, yeah. I got a lot of T-shirts given out by game companies. A lot of T-shirts. Yeah,
they're easy. They're cheap. They know people in that realm.
Clean clothes. My wardrobe is jeans and T-shirts, so I could always use another T-shirt.
And I was gonna say, like most people at those conventions need a clean shirt, so it worked out.
That is also very, very true.
That is also true.
I always thought it was brilliant when Old Spice would do like sponsor packs. Like, it was so smart.
Did you hear the whistle I did? I did the whistle. I hope that came from the mic.
I heard bits and pieces. I was like, I didn't pick up on it entirely. There we go. That came through.
Some of the best marketing in history from Old Spice. God bless those people.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, we got a big show for you today, folks. We got a lot of sports to get into. We have a little bit of geek news, mostly sports show today.
There is one geek news that if this comes to fruition, and you'll know if they do this, you know what I'm alluding to. I'm teasing the end of the show here. I will be an expert on that one because I've read all of those.
Yes.
And I will be enthralled if they do this. But what am I talking about? You'll have to sit through the next 4.5 hours of this show to find out. It won't be that long. But yes, we have some cool geek news today.
Yes, it's such a big show though that like I didn't even wish everybody a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. That's how big it was. Going to try and get right into this one. So it was not a good evening for some folks yesterday, depending on who you were rooting for. Of course, in the NFL playoffs, we are starting again with football. Lee and I had a good
We saw
weekend.
people crying on TV last night.
A lot of crying last night. We will get to that one in short order. Lee and I went 3-1 on our picks. We're now both 6-4 on the postseason. We picked all the home teams, and 3 of them delivered. The first one, really the one that was probably the least surprising, the Ravens absolutely ran roughshod over the Texans, 34-10. Kind of, we said it last week. They said the Ravens make it off to a slow start as they shake off the rust of the bye. It was 10-10 at the half. But again, courtesy of a special teams punt return for a touchdown for Houston. But Baltimore absolutely completely dominated the second half. Lamar Jackson, I think 150 yards passing, but also had another 100 rushing. Absolutely took advantage of the bad weather. Houston just couldn't seem to get out of the starting blocks. The defense of Baltimore just absolutely dominated that game, and Houston could do nothing in the second half. But Houston, very, very bright future. They have the building blocks in place. They have their franchise quarterback. They just need a few more pieces on defense, maybe a weapon or two on offense. But the Ravens advance. Lee, what are your thoughts on this first game of the week of the divisional weekend?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was a surprise. The Ravens are the best team right now in the NFL, right? So they should win that game somewhat with ease. I mean, we've been seeing a trend a lot this year, Ray. Not every game, but a lot of games are close at halftime. And people who watch football, so that's always the way it is. Like I just feel like this year I've seen that a lot more, where a team pulls away in the second half. That's just my opinion, but no, Baltimore looked dominant, and I'm looking forward to seeing this at the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, and that's also the mark of a veteran team, making second half adjustments, right? Houston thought they had figured something out there, I think, at the end of the first half, and rode that into the second. Baltimore made adjustments, and Lamar Jackson now gets his second career playoff win. He's now 2-3 career postseason, and he'll try and improve on that next week. Over in the NFC, Saturday night, we said that this could be, if there was going to be any real big upset this weekend, it would be this game.
Right.
And if Green Bay had a kicker, we might have had an upset. Now, the weather, of course, was not great, but it's always a bad sign when your coach is quoted as saying, whenever we send our kicker out there, I say a prayer, because he's really had a terrible, terrible year. And honestly, I'd be shocked if they kept this kid around, because as much as you hate to see it, they made a questionable decision to not kick a field goal in the red zone early, and then tried to settle for a field goal late, and he missed it. And so the Packers left at least 6 points on the board. And when you lose by 4, well, that really sticks in your craw. But the Niners also looked very rusty coming out of the bye week and after time off. Purdy really kind of lit it up in the fourth quarter. Also, the elements were a part of it. Purdy said that he was definitely in the first half. It took not only shaking the rust off, but also having to get used to playing in the torrential rain that was happening.
It was raining a lot, for sure.
But the Packers come up just a bit short. And that too, the Packers defense dropped a couple of should have been easy interceptions because of the rain. The ball was very, very slick. The Niners found their game in the fourth quarter and find their way to hosting the NFC Championship. Lee, what were your thoughts on Niners and Green Bay?
I mean, it's what you would expect from a 1-7 matchup, right? Is that when the championship team decides to turn it on, there's really nothing you can do about it. And that's not a shot against Green Bay. We're happy to be here. This is great that we got past the first week of the playoffs, but the Niners are a team, they could play one quarter and destroy you, and they did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's simple. I don't think you have to look too far beyond it. I mean, these are not two teams that are in the same caliber of play. And again, at any given Sunday for sure, but this is one of those 99 out of 100 times the Niners are going to win this game.
Yeah. Again, Green Bay, another team with a really good foundation for the future.
For sure. Absolutely. Hopefully they don't blow it like the Lions did back in the 90s.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's all. We'll get into that story for sure.
Yes.
Because it took them 30 years to rebuild, but they have finally rebuilt. Also want to mention Jordan Love had 2 late interceptions that sealed the win for the Niners. Again, some of that was him trying to do a little too much there. Again, not a lot of experience. It was also, again, the Niners, a very, very, very good defense.
Very good. Yes. There's a reason where they're at.
And now they will host the Detroit Lions, which should be interesting because they were the 1 and 2 offenses in the NFL this year, actually. In terms of yards, in terms of points scored. The Lions win by 8. A lot of questionable decisions late by Tampa Bay there. They went for 2 when they really didn't have to, in my opinion. They also, we'll get to it in a second, pocketed a timeout that a lot of folks are now really kind of leaning into Todd Bowles. Also, the Lions some late clock mismanagement that did not end up hurting them in the end. But the Lions, Jared Goff got off to a slow start. Baker Mayfield got off to a slow start. Then both those offenses really started to click, and it really came down to a play by the defense for Detroit. Their young players, their young draft picks really starting to deliver and starting to step up. And you are seeing this team get better and better and better, it feels like, as the year has gone on. Lee, what were your thoughts on Tampa Bay and Detroit?
Yeah, again, an interesting game for sure. But at the end of the day, like I said, the Lions are more destined at this point of the season. Again, the Bucs story is more like we're just happy to be here. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I hate to repeat myself. But look, I'm gonna say what I usually say this time of year, this always happens when our team is gonna hire a clock management coach. I
Yes.
do not know how it doesn't have to be a coach, it could just be a massive statistician.
Mm-hmm.
It is shocking to me, Ray, that this is still happening. Right. That it just and sometimes it just seems like, oh, no one's paying attention or they made a mistake. I don't know how that can happen in the NFL.
Well, and that's what I want to ask your opinion really on as a coach and as somebody who has been around football and who understands. So it's not the stage for you folks. The Lions made an interception, which was thought to be and was really a game-sealing interception. About a minute and a half left on Baker Mayfield. They were already in field goal range. It was deep in that side of the territory, so the Lions were already within their kicker's field goal range. They take a knee, and then for whatever reason, Jared Goff takes another knee very quickly. Mm-hmm. Usually you let the clock
let it run down.
And for whatever reason, he took the second knee with like 20 seconds left in the play clock. And then, which allowed Tampa Bay, that gave them extra time. They had one timeout in their pocket. They then took the third knee, and the Bucs did not call the timeout. That would have forced the Lions to possibly kick a field goal. Now, look, there was an infinitesimally small chance. But Lee, if there is any chance at all, do you not have to take it? Where if you call that timeout, you force them to kick the field goal. Yes, they make the field goal, the game is basically over. But what if they miss it? What if you block it? Why? Todd Bowles said it was a foregone conclusion they were going to win in this press conference, which honestly, that bothered me more than if he said he didn't realize he had the timeout left. Right? I would have rather have him have said, I forgot we had one timeout, than to him say it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to lose with a minute to go.
I think it's more likely he did forget that they had a timeout. Look, to answer your question, yes, you have to take that timeout. Even if there's no chance in you winning, you have to do it. You have to force the play. You never know. All right. We have seen weirder things happen.
Oh, absolutely.
So my guess is he forgot. Now, again, you're talking about from a fan standpoint, from a GM standpoint, do you want to hear that you forgot or that you're just trying to be a classy coach? So that's kind of what I think is happening here. Now, both answers are wrong.
Yeah.
No, you have to, if they look, we saw this in the NCAA where, there was an injury timeout. Mm-hmm. And it completely changed the fabric of the end of the game. Like, I think, where was that? Was that the Washington game?
Washington almost blew it against Texas because they gave Texas an extra 30
down
seconds.
The field. They very much could have won.
Yes.
Right? So
came down to the last play, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say this again, Ray, is that I have a real issue as a coach when you take the game out of the player's hands. Right? Yeah. So whether you think the game is over, whether whatever. And here's the other thing too. If he did forget, where the hell is anyone else to tell him we have a timeout? We have a timeout.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So these are the things I don't understand sometimes. Now, I will also say this, having been on football sidelines, there's a lot going on, and a lot of people are focused on their job and not the thing as a whole. I just find it amazing with the amount of people that watch the game, both on the sidelines and upstairs.
Yeah.
That nobody says anything about these things. And
again, nobody called down. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, again, I don't know how low the clock would have gotten. All right. If it got down to 1-2 seconds, all right, maybe I can see.
No, they did the math. If they had called, so if Detroit did not mismanage the clock on their own side,
yeah,
right, there would have been about 15 seconds left when they kicked the field goal. Yeah,
plenty of time.
So now again, if they make the field goal, then the game is over. But if
Right.
they miss
You
or it's
can't. No,
blocked,
look. This is like in the playoffs when you pull a goalie in the NHL. When you're down by a goal, 2 goals, you keep the goalie out because you got to try.
yes,
Right now in the regular season, you don't do that. You put the goalie back in after you get the empty net goal because you don't. No, in the
right,
playoffs, it doesn't matter. You got to keep the goalie out of the net. You got to try. You
yeah,
owe it to the fan base. You owe it to everybody. So
yeah,
again, interesting decision making.
hmm
My gut, I could be very wrong, was that he did forget he had a timeout.
yeah,
That's my gut. All right, because
right.
there's no logical reason why you wouldn't call it. All right.
That's my thought
Yeah.
too. I was just shocked by his answer
Yeah. Well,
more in the press
again,
conference more than
it
anything.
would be if I was a GM, it would be unacceptable to me that someone forgot.
Yeah,
Okay. And again, it's much easier to justify, okay, you've been a class act. We probably weren't going to win anyway.
right.
Next time, don't do that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But yeah, I'm going to say it again. There should be a clock management person on staff that can
yeah.
radio down to the head coach.
Absolutely. I'm available to any NFL team that wants anybody to watch the clock. I'm really good at it. I have clocks all around my apartment. I'm really good at it.
I just got a visual of you upstairs with a headset. Clock, clock, clock.
Yeah.
Time out, time out.
Time out, time out,
Oh,
time out, time out,
what
time
are
out,
you
time out, time
doing?
out.
What are you? They just gave it to you. Time out. You moron.
Oh goodness, yeah, but yeah. So, but the bigger story, of course, is that the Detroit Lions, for the first time in 32 years, are back in the NFC Championship game. They snapped that streak. They will go to San Francisco
Yes.
red hot.
Yes. Where they will lose to the 49ers, who will go to the Super Bowl. I'm making my prediction right now.
Right now.
The
Well, then
Lions
we
are going
are.
to lose that game. I want them to win over the
Yeah,
Niners. I do. My dream final is not Kansas City 49ers. All
yeah.
right. But I will tell you that I believe the Lions road ends here. And I
hmm
will be very happy if I am wrong.
Yeah, I will do this right now. I am going to take Detroit.
Okay,
I'm going to
good.
go with the Cinderella story. I am going to
Oh
take
no.
Detroit.
I hope you're right, Ray, but I think the Niners are gonna beat the shit out of them.
I
You want me to be
That
perfectly
could
honest with you?
happen.
Yeah,
That could happen.
yeah,
Absolutely could
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
And I really think that this is a closer matchup though than people want it to believe, because I will say this, the Packers showed something on the Niners defense that I think is very interesting, is that if you run the ball outside the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
which the Lions do very well,
They do.
the Niners are vulnerable.
Right.
I think Detroit can come up to a game plan. I think this could be a shootout. I really do, because I will also say that Detroit's secondary is very vulnerable. And I think as long as it's not raining, I think Purdy can pick it apart. This could be like a 35-31 game NFC Championship. And
I
I
absolutely
pick whoever has 35 and pick who has 31. It could really
yeah.
come down to the
It
wire.
could go either way. I just think that that the Niners storyline, and there's two great storylines here. But remember, this is a
Yes.
team that got all the way to the NFC Championship last year and lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
And if I'm them, it's like, we know what we missed out on last year.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think the Lions have anything that strong.
No, the Lions are a bit of a Cinderella.
Now, if this game was in Detroit, right?
Different story.
I would
Absolutely.
definitely change my tune a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. But I think the Niners are going to be going to the Super Bowl. Don't want it, but that's my prediction.
It's fair. That's fair. Also don't want the Niners, and so I'm really, really pulling for the Lions.
Wait, we're doing picks of what we want and what we morally want. What we morally want is the Niners and Kansas City not to be in the playoffs anymore.
Yes.
But we can't do that, right?
Yeah, no, to be fair. But I'm gonna go with my heart here over my head, and I'm gonna say Detroit.
I tried that with Miami. It didn't work. So I was just giving you a heads up. Although again, I wasn't expecting Snowmageddon to happen. So
That's also true. It was the another ice bowl, fourth boldest game in NFL history. But yes, now and again, last note, the Washington Redmander football team, whatever you want to call them, they now have the longest streak of not making the NFC Championship game, which they, funny enough, beat Detroit back in 1991. So now that tie is broken. And the second longest streak, of course, belongs to the Dallas Cowboys.
About them Cowboys.
Yes. Fun fact, by the way, did you hear Ron Rivera is interviewing for the Eagles defensive coordinator position?
Yeah, it's not a bad interview. We'll talk about the Eagles defensive coordinator position in a bit, because I have a feeling now that is the source of the issues on the team.
Yes, and I think actually Ron Rivera would actually be a great fit.
Why would you not take him? right? Why would you not take him? Unless
That
someone else is available, obviously.
defense is his specialty. He was a
Yeah.
great linebacker, of course, in his own heyday. He's always been a defensive minded coach. You also have a veteran presence now behind Sirianni.
Well, and you also know someone who knows a lot about one of the other teams in your own division.
That's also true.
That
That
is
usually
also
gives it.
true.
They also
Yeah.
usually gives you some fits, even though you beat
Yeah.
them. Usually, they give
Yeah.
you they never make it easy.
And well, that's a team that's going to be on the rise over the next, 2 to 5 years. So
Yes, with their new ownership group, they're going to be
yes.
rebuilding very
Um,
quickly.
so I would
Washington will
I
be
would
a threat
have
in the next 3 years, I think.
I would have no problem with Ron Rivera. I'll just say now before we get to our AFC picks that
Hmm.
the public nature of the Eagles firing their defensive coordinator after he had already been moved aside.
Yeah, he had been demoted. Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of tells you something was going on there. That remember I kept saying there's something there. I don't know.
yeah,
I think that's what the thing was because they
yeah.
publicly humiliated this guy now by firing him. And the way
Hmm.
they've said it is Nick Sirianni fired him. That's how it's being broadcasted.
Yeah,
And it looks like Sirianni's not going anywhere.
yeah.
So I'm wondering now if there was some issues in the locker room with those players and those
Yeah.
coaches, and again because Matt Patricia is a very good coach, and he could not get that defense to respond.
Yeah.
In fact, they're not even talking about him coming back. So
Yeah.
that tells you what went wrong in that locker room, and what happens on one side of the ball can affect the other side of the ball for sure.
Absolutely. And funny enough, the same thing happened with the Giants. A lot of folks are pointing fingers at defensive coordinator, now terminated defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, that there was a huge rift in the locker room that started with him, and that Dable tried to squash it, tried to, be everything amicable, and that's why Dable's still there, and now Wink is gone.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think people sometimes outside just kind of watching, and I'm not talking to anybody who's played football, really understands football, but it can be easy to forget that these coordinators, they are not far off the head coach position.
no.
I mean, it is really a three-headed dragon.
Yeah.
And if you take one out, it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, sometimes I never liked the hierarchy of coaching. I mean, any head coach will tell you that without their assistants, they cannot survive.
Sure.
Right. I mean, really, when you think of a head coach job, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that's more than just a coordinator and assistant coach,
Hmm.
mainly the media side of it. But it's an overseer, right, of all sides of the ball or the puck or whatever you're playing. So
Right.
it's a little more than that. I mean, you're the head decision maker, right? And every team
Right.
needs one, but it's not as simple as you think, right?
Yeah.
You need these people to perform their jobs really well, or
Yeah.
you get you fired.
Yeah. Well, and that brings us into our last game. Actually, the Bills fired their offensive coordinator midway through the season, and it turned the whole team around
Did. And that's the other
until
side of it.
until they faced the Kansas City Chiefs.
Dun 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 dun. Whoa.
I mean, to be fair, the Chiefs would have beaten the Bills in the regular season had it not been for that Kadarius Toney offsides call. Which, by the way, he did not play in another game. He has basically been permanently deactivated by the Chiefs.
Yeah, smart.
Which I mean, look, that's why the Giants traded him for a third-round pick. Giants wasted a first-round pick on everybody. Every Giants fan knew he was a terrible draft pick in the first round.
Right. Well, he'll end up somewhere. He'll probably be on the Washington Commanders.
I'm sure Chiefs will trade him. Will now trade him for like a fifth-round pick or a sixth-round pick in the draft or something. They'll get something back for him. But the Chiefs go up to Buffalo, the first true road game in Patrick Mahomes' career. Another instant classic. Another 5 lead changes between these two teams again.
Great game. Yeah.
Phenomenal game.
Actually, I believe that one went exactly as we predicted, Ray. That it was going to go back and forth. It was going to come down to a last possession.
Yeah.
I think we said the same thing about the other game too, right? The what was it, the Niners Green Bay game or something like that? We said
Right. Yeah. It could come on whoever has the ball out. Yeah. And then that too, it came on the last possession. I mean, and look, Josh Allen statistically had another phenomenal game. In fact, Josh Allen in his career in the playoffs against the Chiefs averages 306 yards a game passing, has 13 total touchdowns in those 3 games, and only 1 turnover. And again, played perfect football yesterday.
I'm sorry, I sent this to you today.
Yes.
And I wanted to read these stats and this is why the game of football is so phenomenal. All right. Yep. I'm looking for it right now and I can't seem to find what I sent you. So I'm gonna look at it on my Instagram stories because I know I put it up there too. But these are statistics you should know about this game that just happened today. Okay. Listen to this. Time of possession, Bills win 37-03 to 22-25. Okay.
Which is huge.
It's a lot of possession time. First downs, Bills take it 27-21. Total yards, Bills take it 368 to 361. Third down conversions, Bills take it 7 for 14. Kansas City only 1 for 5. Fourth down conversions. Bills take it 2 for 3. Kansas City 0 for 0. They didn't try. Turnovers. Kansas City had 1. Bills had none. Most important one. Won the game. Not the Bills.
Yeah.
Kansas City won the game.
And
Football
the funny
is
thing is,
amazing.
if it wasn't for that turnover, the Chiefs would have won by 10.
The football is an amazing game where every stat, I think it's the only game where this is true pretty much. Every stat is in your column except the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
You just never know who's going to win. And I'll say it too. This was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen in my life. The way that game ended.
Well, there's a few things that did go in the Chiefs' favor.
Right.
The Chiefs had 8 plays. The reason why their time of possession was so low, 8 plays of 20 or more yards. That's huge. That is moving down the field quickly in huge chunks. The Bills had 0.
Yeah.
Right.
No money. These are money plays.
And that's why the Bills dominated time of possession, right? That's where that comes from.
These are Kansas City money plays. That's why they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. That's the play that when they know they have to score, these are the plays they go to. And what happened with the Bills,
they missed every one of them. Yeah.
Several, and again, people are going to point to the missed field goal. We'll get to that in a second. You had big drops from Diggs. You had big drops from your other receivers from Allen. That Allen threw to. Also on the final drive, the last couple of plays, Josh Allen could not step into that final throw because of good pressure by the Chiefs defensive line. But I will also say this is where sometimes Josh Allen, and again, it's some of these gunslinger types, right? They're trying to do too much. Josh Allen forgot the situation that he was in. It was 2nd and 9. I believe they're at like the 25-yard line of the Chiefs. There's a minute 50 left in the game. Why are you throwing at the end zone? I get the idea. The idea is we can score. We got to take the chance. But why are you throwing for the end zone when your whole game plan, the whole game has been dink and dunk and death by 1,000 cuts, and it had been working to that point. You're down by 3, but you have the ball with a minute 50 to go. You have Diggs wide open at the first down marker, and it would have continued to eat the clock. Did you want to leave Patrick Mahomes with $145 and 3 times out left? That with a 1-score game? You lost the scenario there. And even Tony Romo said it. He's like, why are you throwing? He's like, I get the temptation, but the right play there is to check it down to Diggs. You've been checking it down the whole day, and the Chiefs have been giving that to you. Again, football 101. Take what the defense gives you. You check it down 9 yards to Diggs. You move the chains. You eat more of the clock. And then the very next play, he's flush from the pocket. He has nowhere to go. He has to throw it out of bounds. And then that sets up the heartbreaking 44-yard field goal attempt that, again, bad weather. The wind was howling. It was a cold day. And Lee, I can't remember the last time I've seen a football off a kicker's foot go whoop, the way this one did. I mean,
it was windy. Yeah.
It was a slice like you have never seen, folks. And once again, the 2 most hated words in Buffalo, wide right. Shades of Super Bowl 25.
It was brutal. It was a brutal ending. I actually felt bad for the Bills fans.
I mean, and then they were crying, of course. I mean, it was heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking way to lose.
Look, I'm sure the mindset from Allen was, look, we got to be aggressive to try and win this game. And it's just, it wasn't the right moment. Now, if it catches that, we're not talking about it. We're talking about the great play that he made, but.
Right, and then you either talk about it, did the Buffalo defense hold it, or then Patrick Mahomes once again march down the field and break your hearts the other way.
Right.
Like
I just was not expecting him to miss that field goal. It's funny because the way they had the camera set up, you could see the wind was blowing, and like as soon as he kicked it,
you could see the flags flapping on the top of the uprights.
Yeah, and as soon as he kicked it, typically when you see someone kick it, it goes towards the middle, and this thing wasn't never going that way.
It started off good, and then as soon as it got like beyond the line of scrimmage, it just hooked.
Yeah, and now he's gonna have to sit with that, and then they gave up. Then they gave up a first down almost. They gave a first down almost right away. It was devastating to watch.
And Bass is usually automatic in that situation.
I know.
He had been 9 for 9.
Missed. I said he never missed.
9 for 9 in his career up to that point, and just Buffalo has its heart shattered again, and Kansas City continues to find a way, and they've got a chip on their shoulders. Like they even said it, Chris Jones and like others said in person was like, you all wrote us off after we lost to Green Bay. We weren't supposed to be here. Well, guess what? 6 in a row, 6 AFC championship games in a row. We're still here.
Yep. And there you go.
And that's why I'm picking the Chiefs to beat Baltimore next week.
Are you? You are picking the Chiefs. Well, I'm going to go opposite of you, Ray, which means we'll be even going into the Super Bowl. I'm going to pick Baltimore. Should we both be wrong is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'm picking Baltimore. I've got a feeling about Baltimore this year. They've got unfinished business with Kansas City. I think they're a better team, and I think Kansas City is too cocky. I have a feeling with KC, if Baltimore can get 2 scores ahead, I think Kansas City is going to have a hard time coming back.
That's fair.
All right, and I do think that this is a potential again to be another back and forth game. But Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have been very quiet about being the best team in the league.
Yeah.
And to me, that's very, very dangerous. All right.
Yeah.
Kansas City barely won that game. All right. They barely won that game.
They barely won a lot of games this year.
Yeah. Well, then this is Baltimore now. This is not the Bills. I hate to say this. Bills are a beatable team.
Yes.
Right. And they are
a flawed team.
Right. I think that Baltimore is ready to go to the Super Bowl. And that's my prediction. Baltimore Niners again.
I mean, that is the hands-on favorite. Yes, a rematch of, I believe, that Super Bowl 47.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping, though. I'm gonna be honest. I would love this. I would like to see Chiefs Lions. I wouldn't mind the Ravens either. I really want the Lions.
I want the Lions too. I don't. They're gonna have to play the game of their life to beat the Niners, and I just
absolutely.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I think Chiefs and Lions would also be interesting though, because that was the kickoff game of the season, right? The early Thursday game, and it could also potentially be the last game of the season. The Super Bowl would really bookend the season very interestingly.
Yeah, I don't care if you bring up Flavor Flav and Eminem and Kid Rock. I don't care. He's not from Detroit, but I just they're a great team. You have to be great to get to this game.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the Niners and Baltimore losing these. So we'll see what happens. Anything's possible.
Absolutely. I think the Baltimore game is going to come down to Lamar Jackson.
I think 100%. I just think he's ready. I think he's been in the league long enough. He doesn't look like he did a few years back when he just, was not where he needed to be to win a Super Bowl. I think he's there now. I'm going to say again, that team has quietly, they're the best team in the league. Quietly, you know what I mean? It's like that's dangerous.
Yeah, but who knows, Lee? Maybe the Lions just signed a secret weapon. Zach Ertz is now their third tight end.
I saw that, and he's going to play. He's going from the practice squad to the top squad.
They will. He's going to be third in the depth chart, right? He's going to be, which means he's going to probably be in a lot of goal line situations and things of that nature. And that could, who knows? Who knows? I think it's going to be a great championship weekend next week.
Yeah, we're in a good spot here. These are the right teams to be there. All right. Again, we said this before the playoffs. Typically, in the NFL playoffs, the cream rises to the top.
Yes.
All right, and I think that's what's happened here.
Yes, absolutely. These are the 4 teams that should be here on Championship Sunday. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting.
Bills fans, if you think, and I'll be very harsh here, if you think you deserved it, you didn't. You didn't win.
Yeah.
If you won, I would have said you deserved it.
And to be fair, they had a lot of issues. Their whole linebacker, they had a lot of injuries on defense. Everybody was banged up in the linebacker core. They had a lot of excuses, but you had your opportunity.
Yeah.
And you blew it.
You cannot miss certain plays in these games, and they were missing some of them.
Exactly. Games like this always come down to who makes the right play on a handful of plays.
Right.
And the Chiefs made the right play just a handful more times than the Bills did, and that was the difference. So we'll see what happens. We're both, again, 6-4 in our picks going into championship weekend. This will be interesting because we went we agreed on a lot all the way up to this point.
Right. We don't agree at all.
Yeah, now we don't agree at all on this.
Someone is going to win this coming week.
Yeah, I'm taking the road teams, and you're taking the home teams. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, if it's Chiefs Niners, technically we both split.
So we tie, and then we'll probably agree on the Super Bowl because we're friends.
Yes. So we'll see what happens, but an interesting week in football.
The foosball.
Yes. Other sports news. Well, one of the great this is tragic. We've been talking about a lot about the firings in the gaming industry and how things are changing, and this is the bad and the dangers of AI. There's AI can be used for good, or in this case, it can be used for evil. Sports Illustrated this week laid off their entire writing staff and says they were going to replace it with AI entirely. This is despicable and disgusting. And the owners of Sports Illustrated are in front of the bus. You should get hit by a bus this week. Our bus victims of the week. Yes. Absolutely disgusting. Not everybody at Sports Illustrated has been laid off, but I have a friend who basically tweeted this week who's still there, and he says that those of us like who in the new media side and the social media side said it's a ticking clock. We're just waiting to join our good friends on the unemployment line, waiting for the final axe to fall. It is a terrible, terrible situation. Look, and I get it. As somebody who worked in print media for 7 years, I understand how hard it is to keep print media viable. I get it, but to do this is just the lowest of the low, and it's a shame. Sports Illustrated was an institution. It was a staple. It was what we turned to before the days of social media, and it was watch Sports Center on repeat and read Sports Illustrated. That's what you did as sports fans for us growing up. At least that's what I did. Lee, what are your thoughts on the terrible news for Sports Illustrated?
Yeah, it's another blockbuster, man. They failed to innovate.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said of the sentiments of Sports Illustrated, but they had failed to innovate into the space and into the modern times, and this is what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to see writing staffs taken out. I don't ever want to see AI take over. But the truth is this: nothing to innovate. They have not been a relevant magazine in 10 years. They have done nothing correct online. They have done nothing. They should have partnered with ESPN. They should have partnered with social media places. They did nothing, right? Under the guise of print media will survive. And it's like, no, it won't, right? Not unless you offer something that no one else is getting. Give you 10 ideas right now they didn't do. They could have done trading cards within those things. They could have done NFTs when that was popular. There's 100 things they could have done to get involved, and they chose not to because it's probably being run by old people that don't know what the hell is going on. And I am sure that they blamed technology and young people for all of it, right? There's no way you're going to tell me in the days where The Athletic is still online and doing fine, where ESPN.com is doing fine, when there are other publications out there that are doing fine, the Players Tribune, you did not innovate, Sports Illustrated, and I'm devastated by it because you are the magazine that we turn to. Ray, you will remember in 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series, the only thing I wanted, I didn't want jerseys, I didn't want a ton of stuff. I just wanted my Sports Illustrated cover of the Phillies winning the World Series. They screwed that up. That's a story for another time because they couldn't let Philadelphia have anything. But like we looked for those things.
Yeah.
Right. And look, there's other things too. You could see the tide turning with all of the hoopla around the swimsuit edition, which really faltered horribly, unfortunately, the way they did that. And then to some of the other things they did. But when's the last time you heard Sports Illustrated and sports together where it mattered? Yeah. They did not innovate. And now it's dead or dying.
It's basically.
So SI, we salute you. Goodbye. Unfortunately, someone will hopefully buy the name and do something with it. And that's why they didn't say that they're closing their doors, right? Because Sports Illustrated, the name is still worth too much. But my guess is that someone's going to buy it up. I will not be surprised if it's the Players Tribune or the Athletic to buy it up and just Sports Illustrated, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh goodness! And speaking of the dangers of media dying and everything online, and this was funny. Admittedly, for like about 30 seconds, I was fooled because this is the dangers of the blue check mark now being able to be bought and sold and all this other stuff. A parody account that really did not make it very clear was a parody account. Tweeted out as Adrian Wojnarowski, of course, one of the most premier reporters in the NBA. The Clippers' new arena that they're building, that I think it opens next year, that they would have an upper deck that would allow smoking of cigarettes and weed, and that they would be filtered out. And a lot of folks, I think over 7 million people saw that tweet, and a lot of folks retweeted it and shared it. and they thought, hey, they bought it hook, line, and sinker. Now, of course, again, if you have any common sense and understand, especially here in California, indoor smoking laws and all that other stuff, that like unless you're a Vegas casino, that this was not ever going to happen.
Why
To be
not,
fair,
Ray?
and again, the reason why I was even fooled for 30 seconds though is because I'm like, LA is the kind of town where it would be like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And then like, oh yeah, then this building over here is going to be completely exempt from all that because money talks and BS walks. But yeah, no, this was again, this is the perils of social media replacing a lot of our news outlets here, as a lot of folks thought that the Clippers new arena was going to have a smoking section in the upper deck. Lee, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that there's just planted the seed for this to happen in the future. It depends what they're smoking, if you want me to be honest with you. And like, again, I think people believe us. Like, yeah, LA would do that. LA would totally do that.
Right.
You know what, man? What's funny is that I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here, but you got to make it so people can enjoy the game. People are doing it anyway. The argument would be you can drink at a game.
Right.
Why can't you smoke at a game? Right. And the problem is that it's really not good for your kids to be seeing that. So,
right.
so it's an
I mean,
interesting.
and to be fair, look, I mean, if you're watching the Clippers, you probably
You probably
need
want
some
some of
weed.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say I think at the end of the day it comes down to like, beer has been at games forever, but I wouldn't necessarily want to bring my child to an environment where people are
Right.
getting high up in the
Well, and the
rafters.
thing is also, and really what it is
Yeah.
more than anything, it's the secondhand smoke, right?
Right.
Like that's
Right.
like you
You
can't
got to
have that
deal with it.
secondhand smoke in an
Yeah.
enclosed space
No.
like that, unless
Let's
you're a
go
Vegas casino.
Clippers. Yeah. Oh, the arena looks great otherwise though.
Yes, yeah, that's just what that area of town needs is more congestion. But anyway, so over into some real news, the New York Islanders, one of the most boring teams in hockey, signed a very unboring new coach, Patrick Waugh, and he won his debut last night in overtime against the Stars. The Islanders won 3-2. Lee, what are your thoughts on the Islanders hiring Patrick Waugh after his very unceremoniously leaving the Avalanche as the coach several years ago, returning to hockey coaching ranks, the NHL coaching ranks anyway, as the head coach of the Islanders?
Yeah, you got to remember this guy won a Jack Adams, and he wins wherever he goes,
Yes,
in some
that is true.
form. So, I don't care what team you are, it's a great pickup. And if you saw the footage from practice last night and the win last night, this guy does not. He's a little bit of an old school coach. That might be exactly what the Islanders need right now. To give you an idea, too, and this is how the media sensationalizes things. He's yelling at him, he's screaming at him, and people are like, "Look how hard he is on him." Well, after the game, they won. Anders Lee, the captain of the New York Islanders, went and got the puck and gave it right to him as a congratulations for your first win as an Islanders coach.
Yeah.
So I think that people underestimate sometimes how much players do want to be pushed. They also underestimate what it takes to win, and it cannot be a jolly good time all the time. You need a demanding coach that knows what he wants, and Patrick Waugh is that coach right now. So I think it's a great pickup by the Islanders. How long will he last? That's another question.
We will see. We will see. Speaking of pickups, the Edmonton Oilers. We asked last week who would want to
I should have
sign
guessed
Corey
this.
Perry.
I should have guessed this. This is obvious once it happened. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
And the Edmonton Oilers, after winning 13 in a row, want to do everything they can to ruin that by signing Corey Perry. Lee, we talked about it a bit last week that he's an interesting presence in the locker room, and obviously on a team like that, he is not going to do more than crack the fourth line. Obviously, their top two lines are very, very good, especially their top line with Draisaitl and McDavid. What do you think about the Edmonton Oilers, who have moved themselves back into a playoff position after winning 13 in a row?
Yeah, which again, I'm not as surprised they went on that winning streak as other. I mean, they have the talent to do it, right?
For sure.
So when people were panicking about that early in the season, we talked about that too. I was like, give it some time. They're too talented not to
win.
Had
60. People were panicking with 60 games to go.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's an uphill battle for sure. But if there's any team that can do that, it's going to be the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers, known for some controversial pickups in the past. Now, I will say Corey Perry is not as controversial as other players that they've signed, right? There's something went on there in Chicago. No one really knows the full story. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the dumbass Kane, but Corey Perry, you know what? Could make a lot of sense for them on that fourth line. I'm not going to lie to you. He has won a cup. He has some veteran leadership. I mean, he really does kind of fit a little bit into what they probably need to get to the next level. He's a pest. It takes a lot of the camera work off of McDavid and Draisaitl and other members of that team and puts it right on him. And that is going to be his job. Get the focus on you so our top guys can be our top guys. So they're either going to come out of this looking like geniuses or he will just be a non-starter and no one will care.
Right. It's a low risk, high reward kind of thing because it's a prorated contract the rest of the season. It doesn't work out. See you next year.
Right.
So.
And again, he's a cup winner. You got to remember that. Like, guy has won the Stanley Cup. And that's not something a lot of players on the Edmonton can say.
That's very true. Not in a very long time anyway. Speaking of guys who are on top, who have been on top, or teams that have been on top that are slowly starting to slip away. My Rangers. Wait, what's wrong with my Rangers?
Nothing's wrong with the Rangers, Ray. It's mid-season, mid-season lulls. That happens. You get it out of your system now. You don't want to get this out of your system after the All-Star break.
Yes.
You got a nice break coming up. They are still in first place. Nothing's wrong with the Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm hearing for the first time, Shesterkin and quick guys, don't do the New York thing.
First off, they're not the problem. They're
not the problem. Please stop doing the New York thing and panicking and just let it play out.
They look a little tired, like you said. I think the All-Star break will be great to recharge the batteries, especially for some of their older veterans.
100%.
But I felt better last night after we came back against Anaheim. We were down 2-0 early, and then we scored 5 unanswered. Which is also, by the way, again, the Rangers, a very tough schedule. They have 4 games on the West Coast within 6 days. They now head up to San Jose. They got their butts beat by Vegas. Vegas absolutely dominated them. Then they lose a heartbreaker and quick returning to LA. They lose heartbreaker 2-1. Then they come back. They bounce back against Anaheim. And then look, here's the thing: if they go up to San Jose and they beat San Jose, which they should beat San Jose, then you say, look, you went 2-2 on the California road trip. The Southwest road trip. You got a couple more games before the All-Star break. You win those, and everything's right as rain.
Right.
So,
they're gonna be fine. I mean, look, here's the other thing too. It's like, I don't know where sports fans got in this mode of like, we're in first place, we should stay in first place. You might not finish in first place. You're a playoff team, and that is what is important. There's no buy round in hockey.
Right. So that's the thing. You're not playing for time off.
Yeah, like I expect you to win the division. All right, it's the Flyers are behind.
But I was going to say you guys are 4 points behind. Carolina's only 5. Like you're both right on our tail.
Yeah, but that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things of like, I'm not going to limit it to New York. That wouldn't be fair. But it's like, relax. You are a playoff team. You had a great first half, no matter how you look at it.
Yes.
All right, you've. This is what I would say as a coach. We have afforded the right to have a lull right now and not have to panic. Right. Edmonton had to panic, but they did it.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And what matters is that you go into March ready to go.
When you still have twice as many wins as losses, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it. I mean, the Rangers are 29-15-2.
Right.
So they're all right. And then people are like, what about the President's Cup? I don't care about the President's Cup. I care about the Stanley Cup.
Nobody, unless you're European, that's not a big deal.
Yes, which we've gone over.
I shouldn't say it's a big deal to win it, but it's not.
It is nice, but it's not like that's not the end goal.
Yeah, it's not the end goal. 100% correct.
Ask the Bruins about all those President's Cups.
Oh my God.
Let them have another one.
Especially last season's.
Yeah. They can have another one this year. In fact, if anything, let them have this one this year, and this way the Rangers can get the other cup. Anyway,
we'll see. I'm actually looking forward to when the Flyers play the Rangers next.
Yes, it should be. I think that'll be a good test for both teams. Let's see. Moving on now from hockey, we talk about playoffs and all this stuff. We're talking about the length of the season. Anthony Rendon, third baseman for the Angels, of course, signed that mega deal after he won the World Series with the Nationals. And very much kind of like Pujols basically has been a shell of himself since he left Washington. A lot of injuries, but he basically came out and said a lot of folks are making fun of him because he hasn't played a full season in Anaheim because of all his injuries. But he brings up something that I think we've been talking about, and I think a lot more people in baseball want to talk about but are scared to. Anthony Rendon says it's time to shorten the regular season again. And especially now with the extra round of the playoffs, we've been saying it here on the show for a long time. Shorten the baseball regular season. We do not need 162 games.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I've said it before. I'll say it. I think we can cut the season to 145, and I think that would be a great start. And I think it would be a huge difference. It would do a lot in terms of balancing the schedule even more. I think it would do a lot in terms of, actually playing, the fall classic in the fall still, like still in October. I hate November baseball. I hate November baseball.
I hate that the most meaningful games are played in a different climate.
Right.
I mean, depending on where you're playing, to be fair, but it's ridiculous to me. It is ridiculous to me. And is it, you know what? The biggest enemy of baseball is these traditionalists that just can't see anything.
Yes.
Right. Here's another question. Outside the odd team here or there, I don't think this would make that much of a difference in the standings.
No.
Right. I mean, all that happens now is that the season ends a little bit earlier. Right.
Yeah.
So suddenly those games are a little more meaningful. I don't think it really changes anything. Now, what they're going to say is, well, it's the revenue. It's the revenue at the end of the season. I bet you I could make a very statistical, mathematical equation that proves that you're going to get them even more attendance if you shorten the games.
Yeah.
All right. Nobody wants to see. I was going to use the A's, but that's probably a bad example. But nobody wants to see the Marlins Stadium empty.
Yeah, right.
The last 40 games of the year. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And that's the thing, particularly for teams that are out of it by September. And now that you don't have September call-ups anymore, so that you can't even, instead of expanding the rosters to 40, they only expand the roster to 28. So now you're not even gonna not even the option of being like, well, hey, I know we're out of it, but come see the future, come see our new kids, the rookies. You don't even have that anymore because of the new rule. So it's like, why? If you're out of it, like if you're a Pirates fan, if you're an Athletics fan, if you're a, if you're a Marlins fan and you're out of it September 1st, why?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it again, right? 2 words: meaningful baseball. I think this enhances meaningful baseball.
Yeah.
I think that
it makes every game worth more.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is that, now suddenly if you have a really hot start, right, it can change a little bit if you're 40 games less.
Yeah.
Right. Or 20 games less. Right. So anyway, baseball goes too long. It really does for me. I mean, I really, again, baseball won me back last season. I'll say last couple of seasons. But I think outside the NFL, hockey and basketball could shorten their seasons too, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it would kill me if there was 71 games instead of 82 games, or 72 games. But it is what it is.
The only team in the last 25 years that I can think of that this would have affected was the 2007 Colorado Rockies that won the last 20 games in a row to get to the wild card and then went all the way to the World Series before they got swept by the Red Sox.
Right.
It is the only team out of all the baseball that I can think of the last 25 years that would have affected.
Yeah, and
you know what?
There's no proof that they wouldn't have gotten hot earlier when they know that it's coming to an end earlier.
It's also true.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. It won't happen.
No, I agree, but I am glad that somebody at least some players are starting to talk about it openly now. And speaking of long winning streaks and winning for a long time, this was a great story. Just want to quickly mention and congratulate Tara VanDerveer, who is the Stanford women's NCAA basketball coach. She is now the winningest coach in NCAA basketball history, passing Mike Krzyzewski, of course, of Duke. She now has 1,203 career wins. She started her career at Idaho, then went to Ohio State, and has now spent the last 1985, so 38 years with Stanford, where she racked up 1,051 of those 1,203 wins. But congratulations to her. That is an amazing accomplishment. That's like 25 wins a year or something, which is really hard to do in any sport. Well, I mean, in terms of like basically winning like 80% of your games, 750 to 80% of your 75 to 85% of your games every year. So, Lee, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction and call some people out. There's a lot of idiots out there who go, well, yeah, it's women's sports. It's a lot easier to win. I don't care what sport you're playing.
Yeah.
I don't care. You don't win 1,200 plus games because you're lucky or because the competition sucks.
Yeah.
All right. You win because you're a damn good coach and you got a damn good team.
Yeah.
Right. Now you can talk about the disparity between how many teams there are or winning percentages. Winning is winning. And I don't care if it's men's sports or women's sports. What Tara here did is amazing. And I'm glad that it's being commended in the way that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a tremendous accomplishment, and congratulations to her as she continues with Stanford, as that number will go up
continuously.
Yeah. Also, speaking about winners, real quick, this is only the fifth time since 1950, and the first time since Phil Mickelson did it in 1991. Nick Dunlap, a college student, won a PGA Tour event as an amateur. This is a big deal. Unfortunately, because of rules,
Yeah, you can't
the
take any
PGA,
money.
he can't take any. He can't take the $1.5 million prize money, so it goes to technically second place. But what it does allow Nick to do is that if he wants, he can now. It moves up his eligibility to join the tour
Right.
by 2 years, actually, which means, of course, he can start making money a lot sooner and start winning events. He also can be part of the PGA Championship this year. And yeah, sponsorships and all the other fun stuff. It's just it's a great story, and again, just shows, even though it's an amateur winning a pro event at any level, it unbelievable. Again, very, very rarely done. Hasn't been done again in over 30 years. Basically, Phil Mickelson. It's the same as Nick Dunlap is the Detroit Lions. The last time this happened in golf, the Detroit Lions were in the NFC Championship. Holy cow!
You found it. You figured it out.
I figured it out. I did it. I made the connection, folks. But yeah, 1991. So that's a fun story. I think, to wrap up the sports section. Lee, any thoughts on Nick Dunlap?
Yeah, I think, Ray, you're going to start to see this actually more than people think. Now, golf's a little bit of a different sport where experience can really play into it, but you're seeing younger athletes ready to be pros earlier and earlier and earlier because
You're seeing
of
it in tennis.
everything.
Yeah.
Because of specialized training and the ability to locate kids, and then just the technology has gotten better where you can advance or accelerate the development of someone. So some of these rules might have to change in the future. But yeah, this kid will be on the PGA ASAP with the way he did.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's ready.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good point. We actually talk about this in the games industry a lot with esports players. A lot of times esports players will start in their mid-teens because people don't realize physically, like your musculature and whatnot may not be fully developed or whatnot at 15, but your reflexes,
right?
Actually, you begin your peak reflexes at 15 years old, and that continues for the next 15 to 20 years usually. But that's why you don't see a lot of esports players older than 35.
Right.
They tired. Even that, I joked that I at 32, I got second place in what we called the senior league tournament. And you're like 32, and I'm like, yeah,
That's
because in games you don't need physicality. It's your reflexes. Your reflexes start to dull. And even now at 38, I'm starting to feel it in my reflexes. I'm an old man, so I can't
so
play
old.
games. So old. My
so old.
Gaming. That's why that's why I can. If you need me, I can consult and tell you what to do about your video games. But I probably can't compete professionally unless it is on another senior event of some kind.
Well, as someone who's just about to start his VR gaming career, I will let you know it's a little different, maybe.
It maybe. I'm curious to find out. Speaking of games, though, a little bit of game news as we switch over to the geek section. This was a fun story that broke this morning. The WWE 2K24 cover and release date have been announced. The release date is March the 8th. No surprise, they kind of switched after taking a year off to the spring release. This way they don't have to compete with the craziness of the fall releases, even the fall sports releases. There's really, aside from baseball, nothing else in March, so it's a good chance for them to have that, not to mention leading up to WrestleMania. But there's 3 editions. The standard edition, Cody Rhodes is the cover athlete, which makes perfect sense. The deluxe edition is Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, your women's world champion right now. They, of course, have a great rivalry, and of course, 2 of the phenomenal women wrestlers that are in the industry right now. And this is the one that I'm excited for. I just wish it wasn't $120. Is the let's see, the super special edition. What is it? I'm trying to find out. I forget what it's called. It's the WrestleMania, the 40 years of WrestleMania.
Looks pretty
edition.
Cool, yeah.
It's the 40 years of WrestleMania edition. It has The Rock on the cover, Cena, Undertaker, Stone Cold, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Andre, Hogan, and of course your more current legends as well. It's just an absolutely phenomenal looking cover. And it comes, of course. What's interesting is also, if you pre-order any version, you get a month of Peacock for free.
Peacock's showing up everywhere.
Yeah, well, it's what it is. It's because they want you to watch WrestleMania.
Yep.
but also new matches and old matches returning, special guest referee matches returning, gauntlet matches are returning, and for the first time, proper, I guess, or at least the first time in a very long time, ambulance matches and casket matches will return here in 2K24. So for the wrestling fan out there in your life, if you want to get them a wrestling game, 2K24 looks to once again be the cream of the crop that rises to the top.
And this is where I miss Blockbuster, where I could just rent the game, get it out of my system for a week, and then I could bring it back.
Yeah, because I will say this. So I've gotten WWE 2K since they've come back the past 2 years, and I'm glad they've come back. And while I'm very tempted with the 40 years of WrestleMania version, even for the standard edition, right? I never get the collector's editions, but just the idea that that's going to be like the showcase mode, that it's going to be 21 classic WrestleMania matches, including Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3.
Right.
I am tempted, but after getting it 2 years in a row, I just don't know if I can afford to get it again.
Yeah.
Or that the gameplay will be so different from the past 2 years that it'll be worth it aside from reliving those matches.
Yeah, you remember I'm going to say it again. You used to be able to rent these games and try them out before you bought. You can't really do that anymore unless they give you like a little bit of a freebie, which doesn't happen any much either.
Very rarely. Yeah, sometimes you'll get demos, but very, very, very rarely does that happen. So
interesting.
Yes. So what's your favorite WrestleMania match, Lee? Do you have one off the top of your head?
Man, that's a really loaded question.
Yeah.
Favorite WrestleMania match?
Yeah.
Taker Mankind wasn't WrestleMania, right? That was Hell in a Cell.
That was not
I mean, that's my favorite match, period.
Right.
I mean, Ray, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. Probably an Austin matchup, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking
not Austin Rock, but just
I mean, it is hard. There's a lot of great ones. Rock Hogan at WrestleMania 18. It's a great one.
I thought that was too late. You know what? I mean, this is gonna be controversial. Some of the Bret Hart ones were fantastic. Wasn't there a Hart Michaels one?
I was gonna say Bret Hart and Stone Cold. Was that WrestleMania 11?
That was good. I mean, because we gotta remember, like, there's like the showstopper kind of WrestleManias where it's like the two behemoths and Undertaker versus whoever. But from a technical wrestling standpoint, Hart was really good.
WrestleMania 13. That was, by the way, Hart versus
that was a good one. That was a good match, right? Yeah. That's when he was bleeding, right?
Yeah.
That's my pick. Yeah. That's my pick. That was a great match.
Yeah, there's also
we hadn't really seen stuff like that. It was kind of early on in the Attitude Era. I mean, I don't even know if that was Attitude Era yet.
That was like the cusp of the the beginning of the Attitude Era.
That was like, I had never seen that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God.
Right, because it was shortly after that then you had the Montreal Screwjob and Bret left for WCW, and
there was a Kane Undertaker match in there too that was really good.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, the retirement, the basically retired Shawn, I think the first time, and then was phenomenal. Yeah, there's some really great WrestleMania matches. I'm curious to see what 21 they picked, and that's part of the reason why that's part of the reason I'm so tempted.
Well, I mean, look, like, do what we all have to do. Wait for the reviews, and then figure it out.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I remember what it used to be. You should send me the game. I can just play it.
I think you should reach out to them and be like, hey, just send me the game.
Yes. I'm tempted. Yeah, because that's the thing. I'm just, after 2 years in a row, I just dropping $70 on another game, another version. Not sure, especially because I'm unemployed right now.
No, now I know what to get you for your birthday.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, there we go. Or they could be WWE 2K24 could be our non-sponsor.
The non-sponsor of the week is the WrestleMania version.
Yes. Come on, WWE 2K. Come on.
Come on down.
Come on, hook us up. Oh man. Moving on. Speaking of games, actually games and movies. This is a fun rumor that has been starting.
I don't like sand. I'm sorry, Master.
We know that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is happening. We know it's going to feature Shadow.
It's not the Jedi way.
After Idris Elba voiced Knuckles, the question was going to be who could voice Shadow. And now the rumor is Hayden Christensen is the front runner to play Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's a great call. As much as I'm teasing him right now, it's actually a really good call. He has
I
the
think it
perfect
would be
voice for it.
phenomenal.
I think so too. He has the right voice for it. You lack conviction. He
I
can
mean,
make that
now with
work.
his return as Vader and all of this, and
Yeah. The successful return. I don't know if you finished Ahsoka yet, man, but some scenes in there that are like, whoa, this guy can actually do something.
yeah. No, I think this would be a great move. Again, it's just a rumor right now. I have nothing confirmed.
Do it.
But I think this
Do
would
it.
be a win for I believe it's Paramount. Um, for that movie, which again can't wait for the first two Sonic. The Sonic films have been a lot of fun,
They have
really
been.
well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is, that wouldn't be a bad choice. Let's just put it that way.
Absolutely not, absolutely not. And speaking of Star Wars, brings us into our final rumor of the day. Another rumor circulating around the
I
internet.
teased this 7 hours ago. I'm excited to
Yeah,
talk about
yeah, it's been
it.
gaining steam. Um, Especially right now after the last day, the last trailer, the trailer for the last season of Bad Batch just dropped today as well. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but yeah, a lot of Star Wars news going on. The biggest rumor, and also after the success of Marvel's What If, a Star Wars What If is possibly rumored now. Some folks have been saying it would be live action. A lot of others saying it would, of course, be animated, much like the Marvel one, because it gives you all
Why
kinds
would
of
you do live action? No,
no idea.
it's got to be
No,
animated.
it's got to be animated. You have all the voices in place. I am sure Rosario Dawson and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen and whoever else they wanted to get would be happy to come back to reprisers. Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson would be happy to. He does his voice for as Nick Fury for Marvel What If, so I'm sure he'd be happy to reprise Mace with a purple lightsaber. And there's just so many options. We grew up with these comics as these stories as well. People don't realize that Star Wars has done What If in the past. There is
Yep.
plenty of source material to do this and
I
make it a
have read them
cartoon.
all.
Yes, ones where Luke does turn to the dark side. Ones where Leia is the one who gets trained. Ones where there's so much stuff that you can do. And now, especially with the expanded universe, you can do with Mando and Thrawn and all this other stuff. Right? What if Mando didn't go back for Grogu? What would happen? Like, so much you can do. They need to do this.
They need to do this.
Lee, what are your thoughts?
Yes, as the resident Star Wars guy, by a tad, just a little bit, not by much. As someone who has read the What If comic books from Star Wars, they need to do this for
White
multiple
suit
reasons.
Vader. White suit Vader.
Yeah, there's a great story there where Vader turns to the light and Leia and Luke save him, and at the end he comes out in a white suit as Darth Vader. There's a lot of things you could do with this. There's one where Yoda goes after the Emperor. I mean, there's a lot of cool stories in here. There's one where Leia turns to the dark side.
Yes.
All right. So here's the deal with the Star Wars What If. And Ray, I'm sorry, I might spoil a little bit for you if you haven't seen all of Ahsoka. They have reintroduced the world between worlds as a force construct that can operate through time and space. So you've created the construct that can house this.
Yeah.
Right. You could even explain it correctly. Like they have explained how What If fits into the larger MCU. You've created that construct within Star Wars. Ray, you must see how that show ends if you haven't. But again, the What If with Star Wars would be such a welcomed breath of fresh air or a breath from Vader's ventilator. However you want to look at it, whatever metaphor you need.
Yep.
I would love for them to do this as a diehard Star Wars fan. Hopefully they're not too wimpy to try it. There are it doesn't have to be episodic. You don't have to do it like Marvel did.
Yeah.
This could be just one, I don't need them to connect or anything like that.
No, they could all just be one-offs.
They could do that or just do a one-off, right? Or just do one hour-long episode and that's it. Show me 3 stories. But I hope they do this. I really do.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a phenomenal idea. And the fact that this is right now only a rumor and not confirmed.
What if Anakin doesn't kill Dooku? What if Anakin does not jump at Obi-Wan? There's so many,
much. Yeah.
Right? What if Luke does turn to the dark side, which he does eventually in the comic books, but they erase that with
What if Qui-Gon, what if Obi-Wan's the one who dies against Darth Maul instead of Qui-Gon?
Right. Right?
There's so much you could do.
So much you could do, right? And that's just in the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't gone beyond that. I'm not going to, but just, what if they didn't blow up the Death Star? I mean, there's a lot of things here that you could do.
Yeah, 100%. So, well, we're going to keep dreaming about possible what if ideas for Star Wars. And
yes, I like it.
And we will be back next week because that is the end of the episode.
And this is Super Bowl Sunday coming up, so you have to tune in. We have our Super Bowl predictions.
We'll have our Super Bowl predictions,
and then we have to wait.
Week. Yes. This is the conference championship Sunday.
Sports World better have some news next week or the week after.
Yeah, it could be a light week. I mean, well, I think the geek world will start to hopefully
it has awoken. Yeah, we gotta talk about that new Disney floor. That's a tease for a future episode. That's some amazing.
Oh yeah, that's a fun piece of tech. Yeah,
we should talk about that next week. This Disney has created, as they do, something that will really change not just VR but anything on stage. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, that is a great idea. But until then,
bye.
Hold the teams.
Bye. Later.
For Lee, I'm Ray. Good night, everybody. Thanks again for listening. We're back next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports.
Bye everybody.